help your children navigate high school. But of course, last school year was very different for all of us. Um, Many students were virtual. We were virtually working all the time, so we held off on doing this presentation. So this year, we've invited the sophomore and the freshman parents to join us for students who may not have sophomores and wanted, probably to hear this last year, but it's never too late to get this information because it's applicable to pretty much anybody in any grade level. So we're glad that both sets of parents could join us this evening. So these are some of the topics we're going to cover tonight, because our goal is really for you to understand what we do as a counseling department here at Leesville, and then just sort of who we are, what we do, how we help your children, how we can help you. We're going to talk a little bit about what we're calling the nuts and bolts of high school. That's just sort of navigating how you do things at Leesville and at a large high school. And I'm not going to talk about those specific topics yet, but you'll see that in just a few minutes. Going to cover just a couple things on how for students to be successful and get the most out of their high school career. We're going to go over a chart of what students should be looking toward, maybe be doing year by year while they're in high school. I'm going to talk about options for credits outside of Leesville for people who are planning to go to college. And then just a breakdown of what students need to be doing to plan for the future. So for those of you who have just joined us, we are recording this session and we will post it on our school's website so that you will, if you miss some of it, you will be able to look at it later on our school's website. So that's what we're going to cover this evening. And so now we're going to move over to how counselors can help. And I'm going to pass it along to Ms. Rashida Fletcher. She's our academic support counselor.
Okay, so this slide is just introducing who we are. It goes through every single one of us and our email addresses and how to contact us. That information is available on the website, which we will go through later. But of course, they can come down for assistance in anything. And then, of course, in crisis, they are always welcome to come down here and talk to somebody. I think emailing us for an appointment is probably the most efficient way to get in contact with us so that we can make sure we're available when they come down. Okay, next slide. Okay, so how counselors help. I'm not going to read every single one of these, but what I like to say is that we are committed to counseling the whole student. And obviously in the school setting, academics are going to be very important and probably one of the highlighted areas that we work with students in. But academics can get out of whack if personal stuff is going on or if their personal and social lives are not aligned and they're not stable. And so, of course, we want to be able to support and talk with our students through those things. And so, again, we do try to concentrate on the whole student, not just the area we see most, which is academics, because, again, so many things can affect that. And sometimes, sometimes it comes to us first, and then we can relay that to parents, or it comes to parents first and then to us. Hopefully that becomes a situation where we can all work together to support that student. And, make sure they are healthy and making it through high school successfully. And as much as we love our students, we do not want them to stay in high school forever. And so we, of course, have conversations around college and career options, post-secondary options when they do leave us, leave the high school. And so we have those combos. We provide resources on requirements, applications, all of the testing that is necessary. And then obviously that options that are outside of going to college or continuing their education, because we do want those conversations to be unique to every student that we do interact with. And so that's the gist of what we do, but we'll continue to talk about that with Miss Oxendine.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Sarah Oxendine. I oversee students with last names SM through Z. If you're just joining us, please know that we are recording this session and the entirety of the presentation will be posted on our website. So a lot of what we do as counselors tends to be responsive services, meaning we deal with whatever is brought to us. Like Ms. Fletcher said, if a parent calls us with a concern or a teacher reaches out or a student comes to us, we respond and figure out how to help with that presenting problem. However, I think what some folks don't know is that we actually do a lot of programming, meaning structured, planned activities to meet with students in varying grade levels. So I just wanted to highlight a few of those things so that you know some of the things we have already done with your students, and then activities and meeting times that are coming in the future. Freshman orientation, we were able to host that this summer. Both grade levels, 9th and 10th, were invited to come to that. So I hope many of you were able to take advantage of that. We just concluded our freshman checkup sessions. That is where we wait until the conclusion of first quarter of the freshman year, and we meet with freshmen in small groups and go over a lot of the same information we are going over tonight. It's also a lot of time, the first time that the students are meeting us and putting a face to a name. And I can speak for myself and know that I have those meetings generated a lot of interactions with the younger students. So that's a good outcome of those. For the sophomores, just to mention, we did present that same information last year. Of course, it was virtual, and we presented that. We posted that presentation on our website. So we did that same thing with the sophomores last year when they were freshmen. In the health and PE classes, which is a class that most all freshmen take, we present 2 curriculum, SOS, which is the signs of suicide and human trafficking. Those are mandated by Wake County and state law, so we share those curriculums. Then the sophomores and the juniors, you can see we meet with those students in small groups in the spring, typically talking about kind of where they are in high school, what they need to be doing to prepare for the next level, or what they should be doing kind of at that stage in their high school career. Seniors, we do a lot with those folks. We have a big senior meeting with everybody first, and then the 6 of us, the 6 alpha counselors, meet individually with every single senior in the senior class, and that's where we're discussing credits required for graduation, post-secondary plans, and answering specific questions and helping with each individual's post-secondary plans and helping them achieve those goals. We also do another check-in signs of suicide lesson with the senior English classes, as we have found that senior year is such a big transition time, and it's good to check back in with those young folks. The next several bullets are regarding class registration. This is something we do every year with every grade level, except of course our graduating seniors. We meet with the students in groups of 6 to 8. We meet in the media center typically. We go over transcripts, classes they've taken, courses that typically come next. We're making sure they are aware of the graduation requirements. Good discussions happen around those tables about interesting electives and kind of what you actually do in a class. So I enjoy sitting at those meetings. So those take place in February and March, because again, it takes us a long time to get through 3 grade levels of that small group work. And then finally, we're here to help, and Mr. Green in particular, because he's here in the summer with summer school and students who may need to do some credit recovery. So that's some of the programming that we do. So we really do try to get out and interact with the students as much as we can. So now I'm going to turn it over to Miss O'Riordan.
Hi, I'm Katie O'Riordan, and I work with students with the last names GR through K. Tonight, I'm going to talk about the nuts and bolts of sort of how things work at Leesville. Power School is an outstanding tool that can really help you know what's going on at school. You can see a student's attendance, you can see grades as they're entered, both a running average as well as grades for specific assignments and tests. Sometimes teachers will even put a little note for an assignment to let you know, maybe it was handed in late, or maybe there was just a little message about the assignment. So that can be really helpful just to help you know what's going on. Each student has a Power School account, and parents are able to set up an account. And if you ever have difficulty accessing your account, or if you need to set one up, you just need to contact the main office, and Ms. Hardy, our data manager, can help you with that. So she's a great resource with the Power School. I think it's a really good idea for parents and students to check Power School once a week. It's really easy, especially as a 9th grader, to overlook an assignment. And if you're checking weekly, then you just don't get as far behind. You can also see if maybe attendance was recorded correctly. It's a great conversation starter with teachers, just for a student to say, you know, I was checking Power School and I noticed that maybe I missed an assignment and I would like to make that up. How do I do that? I think, you know, we all enjoy hearing when students are keeping track of their progress and asking questions. So we don't mind that at all. Communication with teachers. As far as teachers communicating with everyone else, they use Remind to communicate with students and send out reminders for assignments or tests. With parents, they're using talking points so that you can get phone calls as well as text messages. Email is a great way to stay in touch with teachers. I think the goal is to respond within 24 hours. So you're welcome to reach out to them as well. Email is a great way to communicate with counselors. I think Ms. Fletcher mentioned that earlier. It's probably the fastest way to catch most of us. If it's a more urgent situation, you're welcome to give us a call or stop by. You may not be able to meet with your counselor if you do that, but we'll try to find someone who can help. Student self-advocacy. This is a skill that, you know, we work on all the time with students. I think that we're seeing probably students struggle with this a little more this year than maybe in years past, as we all adjust to getting back on campus and back in classrooms. But this is something that we really try to help students learn to do themselves. We can help students start a conversation with their teachers by emailing the teacher and saying, you know, Ellie's going to stop by and ask you about some missing assignments, or John had a question about this assignment. And so that teachers know that a student is going to stop by and sort of make that time to help them. But we really want students to get to the point where they are sending those emails to their teachers or asking questions in class or just asking for some time to meet with them. So that's something that we really try to support and encourage. Peer tutoring happens every single day on campus during lunch and during both lunches. It happens in room 203, which is basically at the top of the staircase near the cafeteria, and all students have to do is show up. They don't have to schedule a time or send in a request or anything, just show up. They can bring their lunch and eat while they work, and there are tutors there to help them if they have a question. There's also a teacher there. So it's a great resource for students to access. Attendance is vital for success. I mean, I think we all know that, but it's really important for them to be here every day that they can. If a student misses a day, they do need to bring in a note to have that absence excused, and they can bring that note to attendance. We ask that a parent sign the note and also include a phone number in case anyone needs to call. If they need to leave early, they can also bring that note to the attendance office as well. We also have the attendance recorded in Power School, so you can sort of keep track of that. If a student misses a day, then they should actually have 4 absences if you look at the total in Power School at the bottom, because attendance is recorded by period. So they would have missed 4 class periods. I think sometimes that total throws folks off. So it is recorded by period. If a student misses more than half the class, then they are recorded as absent. So even if they come in or leave early, they have to be there at least half the period to be recorded as present. If you know your student will be out, you can reach out to the teachers ahead of time, or the student can. There might be something that they need to plan for when they return, like maybe setting up a time to make up a test. Or there may be something that they can work on a little bit ahead. So it's always a good idea, if you know that you're going to be out, to reach out ahead of time. And if there's a situation where a student will be out for an extended period of time, like maybe they have surgery and they'll be out recovering, feel free to reach out to their counselor so we can help coordinate that and just set up some supports for when they're returning. Driver's education, Wake County contracts with Jordan Driving School. And so students can fill out the paperwork to sign up for a class when they turn, I think it's 14 and a half. And that information is on our website, as well as contact information for Jordan Driving School. When the student finishes their coursework and their driving portion, they'll receive a certificate that they'll need to bring to Student Services for us to complete the driver's eligibility part that they'll need at the DMV to set up their test to drive. And with all of that, and speaking of the website, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Huber, who is our technology guru and webmaster, and she's going to show you a few things on our website.
Hello, I am Jessica Huber. I am the SAP counselor here at Leesville, which means I fulfilled the social work role, and I'm going to show you some things on our website, some things that we've talked about so far, and some things that we're going to talk about later in this presentation too, on where to find some things. I'm also navigating the slides, so let me go ahead and take you to our website. So Leesville.org is the fastest way to get to it if you don't want to type the longer version of it, or you can just Google it. Ms. O'Riordan mentioned Power School. So some people say, well, what if I don't have access to it? How do I get Power School? So if you go to this Parents tab, there is a Forms link there. And so if you don't have access to Power School, there is forms here to help you fill out so that you can get access to Power School. If you are not receiving the school messenger messages, there's also a form here that probably means that your contact information might be out of date, or maybe you've updated your phone number, but we don't know about it yet. So the student contact form here is an excellent form to fill out so we can get the most updated information. And that's for changing things like phone numbers or email addresses. If you do need to change an address, we do need a proof of residence for that, but please contact us so we can help you with that information. All right. Also on that parent tab, so if you do have access to Power School, the quickest link to get into it is under that parent tab, that Power School home base. School Messenger, we do have the right number, but you're not getting those messages, clicking on that School Messenger communication to figure out how to link yourself to it. If you are not receiving our PTSA information, they send out newsletters once or twice a week with announcements on it. Join that. It is free to join, so you can get that information, but they post a lot of great announcements. We supply some of that information, our school does, and so it's something that you can get the latest information from them. So if you click on that PTSA link, that will take you to help get you signed up to their member hub. And also on this link as well, if you need to make payments, transportation information, that's all on here. The Students tab, Driver's Education, if you click on Driver's Education, the latest information, if you go to this latest Driver's Ed information for LRHS students, that will give you what the latest update is. And it's always getting updated, how far backed up are we, what's the wait list situation, what's going on. So this is a good link to bookmark if your student is getting close to being eligible for Driver's Ed, or if you're waiting, you can always get the most latest information on there as well. All right, contacting our faculty. If you're looking for our faculty, going to our school and going to the faculty directory, that will give you all of our teacher email addresses, as well as our virtual classroom. So you can click on a department and you can find all the teachers on there and their contact information. In particular, if you look at some of our math teachers, they'll also have links and information with some of their things like Delta Math on their virtual classrooms, so you can get that information as well. So that's on our school faculty directory, a link there. The Students tab here, one of the I think the most important link is our Student Services website. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that as well. And this gives you a wealth of information in regards to our announcements, in regards to finding recordings for things. So if you're a student missed the freshman sessions, here is the recording of that. Or if you want to watch it, then that is on here as well. So there's lots of information on our Student Services website as far as announcements go. The lunchtime tutoring that we mentioned, that's all on here too, when you're trying to get more information. On the right here where it says make sure you're connected to Leesville, if you click on that, all of those ways of getting communication announcements from Leesville, it's all summarized on this page. So how to access Power School, weekly messages, the PTA TSA newsletter, school messenger, how to access our social media. All of that stuff is on this one-stop shop there. So that's a good place to look for information. So I encourage you to step and look at the Student Services website. Someone asked about graduation requirements. All of that information is on here as well. When we post our registration information, that will be on here. So this is just a good website to look around to see where you can find out more information about our school, our programming, graduation requirements, college information, college planning. Our college visits calendar link is also on here when our colleges do come to visit. So feel free to poke around there. All right, I am going to go ahead and pass it off to Ms. Rogers.
Good evening. The next slide, please. Why are grades, attendance, and promotion important? Well, we want our students to graduate on time with opportunities to graduate early. We want them to keep their permit or license. In order to do so, students must pass 3 of the 4 classes on a block schedule. To play sports, students must pass 3 out of the 4 as well, with attendance, 85% of attendance from the previous semester, and with a cumulative GPA of a 1.5 or higher. Also, to go off campus, to have off-campus pass their junior and senior year. That's why it's important. To take more electives of their choice. To keep a good GPA allows them to apply for those scholarships. And to have a strong high school transcript allow them to not only apply, but to get into their dream schools. So that's why grades, attendance, and promotion are important. I am now going to toss it over to Ms. Saldana.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Pam Saldana. I have last name CO through GO, and then any student with an ESL class on my caseload. And speaking of GPA and grades, I want to drill down on one of our sort of frequently asked questions, which is what is a GPA? And GPA stands for grade point average. And we just did a lesson with freshmen about this. So if you want to watch the longer presentation, feel free to find that on the Student Services website, or to ask your student about it. But just very briefly, it's a grade point average. So every letter grade that a student receives for their final grade will be assigned a certain point value. And then you add all of those values up and you divide by how many there are to take an average. So students will have 2 types of GPAs on their transcript. One is an unweighted GPA and one is a weighted GPA. A weighted GPA has additional points added, or additional half point for an honors class and an additional point for an AP class to account for the rigor of those courses. So they will have a unweighted and weighted GPA on their transcript. So if we look at the next slide, we'll see an example of a transcript. So I know we talk about GPA a lot, but I like to remind students and families that when we send information to employers and colleges and other scholarships, they're actually looking at the whole transcript, not just the GPA. So you can see on this sample transcript, you can see all of the courses that a student has taken. This is a senior example, and that you can see the level of the courses, whether they are standard level, honors, or AP courses. And then under performance information in the right-hand column, you can see that both the weighted and the unweighted GPA and class rank and credit totals are all reported there. So when colleges are looking at this information, they're taking all of this in and they're taking all of it into account. And a quick reminder for those of you that I saw coming in later, we are recording this presentation. So if you missed some of the beginning of it, no worries, you're going to have access to it on our website later. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Ms. Albanese, who will talk about the next slide.
Thank you, Ms. Saldana. Hi, I'm Ms. Albanese, and I'm the A through CL counselor. My slide is on tips for success. And as Ms. Oxendine mentioned before, we had the opportunity to meet with all the freshmen last month, and we were able to emphasize a lot of these tips for them so that they can be more successful in high school. So the easiest thing to start off with is by simply just coming to school. That is huge. Attending all classes, not just coming to school, but attending classes, and also actually completing all of the assignments that are required. If that does not happen, grades can quickly fall and students can drop up to 2-letter grades very, very quickly. When students miss a class on a 4x4 block schedule, they're missing a lot of instructional time and lecturing. So it is very difficult to catch up. If a student knows that they are going to be out, it is best to let the teacher know ahead of time and try to get work ahead of time. Getting organized is a must. We strongly recommend that students keep an agenda or some kind of electronic calendar system like a Google Calendar, or at minimum, at least make a list. Make lists of things to do that day. We tell students this all the time. This helps give students structure. It helps them manage their time, plan activities, as well as reduce anxiety. Communication with teachers, as Mr. Reardon mentioned earlier. If your child is struggling with a class, it is so important to contact the teacher first as quickly as possible. Teachers are very open to this. They want your students to succeed and they want to help in any way they can. And the earlier they can help, the better. So you can contact the teachers through email or through talking points. You can also schedule Google meetings with them. They're very used to that, or even having them call you. Just send them an email to have them call you if you prefer to speak to them over the phone. Don't procrastinate. As adults, we know that this is something that causes a lot of stress and anxiety, and it can lead to our students not submitting their best work, and also in some cases not submitting any work at all because they get so anxious about getting it done at the last minute. For those students who are college bound, we encourage students to go a step further than that. When you're preparing for assessments, quizzes, tests, we encourage them to prepare days in advance, not just the night before. And this is vital to maintaining strong GPAs throughout the 4 years that they're here. Take advantage of recovery opportunities if your student is struggling in a class, maybe they're failing by first quarter. We don't want students to feel like it's too late to make that grade up. So teachers have come up with plans that usually comes in the form of a contract to numerically make it possible for them to still pass the class by the end of the semester. So it's just very important that students stay in contact with the teachers, that they let them know they want to pass the class, they care about the class. And it doesn't hurt to have you also, especially during the 9th grade year, to also reach out to the teacher as well to ask more about the recovery programs. And our teachers are very good about contacting parents when your student is put on a recovery plan. Getting involved is vital for students to feel connected to the school. And this also helps them with their self-esteem. It helps them make friends and stay motivated with school. We have over 50 clubs and organizations for students to be a part of, and we typically have something that's of interest to almost everyone. And if you can't find that, we've had students, many students actually this year, come up with clubs and build their own club. And there is a process for that is on our website. We have over 20 different sports that students can choose from, and also arts programs as well. So we encourage extracurricular activities for students and also for colleges. It looks very good on college applications. So we encourage that they document all of the activities that they are involved with. And the last two, think of others and positive mindset. We all know that social and emotional well-being of students impacts their school performance. So this includes being conscientious, optimistic, feeling gratitude, feeling acceptance, having integrity and resilience, and practicing self-care is big too. It's something that we share a lot with our students when we're communicating with them each day. Getting good exercise, eating well, sleeping 8 hours if possible, and and finding ways, healthy ways to manage and cope with stress at home outside of the classroom. So as counselors, we do stress the importance of character traits, all of these character traits in our daily interactions with students. So the next slide is year by year in high school. Begin with the end in mind. Now, we all know that what Stephen Covey meant by this, and that's basically beginning each day with a clear vision of your destination. And our destination for our freshmen and for themselves is graduation. So we're going to take a look at the next slide, which is going to show us an overview of things to come in the next 4 years. We talked about with ninth grade year is a year of transition, and we want students to be able to ask for help, to advocate for themselves, and to, and if they're not really sure where to start, reach out to us, reach out to the counselor. We want them to get to know us and feel comfortable with us. And we're hoping after the last month's meetings, they do feel that way. We want students to take grades very seriously because colleges look at grades from ninth grade on, the whole transcript. 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, especially since they are applying their senior year. We want to encourage them to get involved with clubs, as I mentioned earlier, extracurricular activities, and again, document those activities so it's easier to complete the college applications the 12th grade year. All 10th grade, all the 10th grade students will take what is called the pre-ACT, and the pre-ACT is basically a practice ACT in the fall to help them prepare for the upcoming college entrance exams, and that would include the SAT and the ACT, so it could prepare them essentially for both. It's also a good time to start exploring career ideas, military or other workforce interests. We will be having them pair up with, actually meet with Ms. Canada, who is our career counselor, who is also an extra resource for them during that year. And also want to mention with 9th and 10th grade year, that is the time that you'll start looking at driver's ed. You have to be 14 and a half, so that is a good time to get driver's ed on the calendar because it can take sometimes, as Ms. Oxenine said, a little while to get that started. And we'll move on to the 11th grade year. So 11th grade year is going to be the busiest, as you all already know. And students will be driving, they'll be working, they'll be taking more difficult classes. So it can be a very stressful time. It's usually the time that our students are most motivated. So it might be a time you can back off a little bit, which is good for parents. And the PSAT is given to students actually all under classmen. However, it is optional. We do recommend that 11th graders they take the PSAT to prepare for the SAT and also for the National Merit Scholarship Program. We encourage juniors to begin their college searches during this year. We also, and you can do this by basically like just getting on a college website and scheduling tours for students. And you can also actually come down to student services. Mr. Green coordinates colleges to come to our campus and make it easier for students to visit with college admissions counselors. In the spring of the junior year, juniors will be taking the ACT for free for an official test score, and that's usually in February of the junior year. And finally, the 12th grade year. 12th grade year is busy, the first semester especially, because students will be applying or finalizing their ACT and SAT scores. They'll be applying for going through the college application process and also writing essays and filling out scholarship applications. So it'll be busy for them. It'll also be busy for parents too. There will be the FAFSA that will be due in October of their senior year, which is the financial aid form. And they'll be meeting with their counselors. We will be busy with them, meeting with them individually in September to help them go over each of their college application processes. So spring hopefully will be a lot more enjoyable for you and for your students. You'll be hearing back from the colleges, hopefully good news, and preparing for graduation festivities, which is our favorite time of the year as these students have worked so hard throughout their 4 years. So we look forward to being there with you all in the next 4 years to do that. And the next slide will be Miss Feeney.
Hi, good evening. I'm Sabra Feeney, and I'm the counselor who works with students with the last names L through OR. We have given you a lot of information tonight, and we have talked about the importance of grades and attendance and how many of things that affects, and how that we're working with your students and preparing them for graduation. But many of you may be asking, what does it take to actually get them across that final finish line? This list can be found, I think Dr. Huber mentioned it and showed you on our website. So the slide may be a little small for most of us to see. So I'm just going to tell you quickly the requirements, but the comprehensive list is on our website, and you can look at that to gain more understanding and the information in detail. But each year, your student must be enrolled in English, and they must pass English 1 through 4. That is one of the promotion requirements, and that is part of the graduation requirements. They must have 4 units of English. They must have 4 math credits. They must have, in our math sequence, what could be math 1, math 2, math 3, math 4. So depending on what your student is taking, some of them will be coming in with a high school math credit. So it's going to vary from student to student as to which level of math that they're taking, but they need 4 high school math credits. They need 3 science courses. That will be biology, earth and environmental science, and a physical science, and that can be chemistry, physics, or physical science. They're going to need 4 social studies credits, and we did for both sets of families that are here tonight, 9th and 10th, there has been a change in the social studies sequence, but your students will be taking world history as 9th graders. As sophomores, they will be taking the new civic literacy course. Some may be taking AP government and politics to replace that course. Then they will pick up a 1 semester American history course, and then in their senior year, they'll be picking up civics and economics. So those will be the 4 social studies that are required of them. They must all take health and PE. So hopefully your 9th graders are in that this year. If not, first or second semester, please tell them to see us, and we will get that on their schedule. Or some students may be picking it up their sophomore year, but that is a graduation requirement. Some of you may have the understanding, or your students think, that foreign languages are a graduation requirement, and they are not required for high school graduation. However, it is a minimum college admission requirement, particularly for all of our colleges and universities that are in the UNC system, the public universities. So it is not a high school graduation requirement, but it is a college minimum admission requirement. And then they need a minimum of 6 electives. So the chart is showing you that they need 26 credits to graduate from high school. Keep in mind they have the opportunity to earn 32 if they should take 8 classes per year. So there is sort of a cushion built in there for students, but the minimum number to graduate from Leesville High is 26 credits. Next slide, please. So promotion requirements. Each year, we are looking at the final grades for our students, and we're looking for a particular number of credits. So for our freshmen, in order to be sophomores, the minimum number of credits that you must have is 6. Of those 6, you must have that English 1 credit. Between your math, science, and social studies, we need 2 of those at a minimum. Ideally, you have all 3, and then an elective class. Keep in mind, you're freshmen and everyone has the opportunity to take 8 classes, but 6 is the minimum that we're looking for in order to be promoted to a sophomore. Next slide. To be promoted to a junior, again, the minimum number is 12, but going into the junior year, they should most have 16 credits if they successfully passed everything that they took their 9th and 10th grade year. And then we're going to look to make sure that they still have that English 1 credit, English 2 credit. In the other core classes, they must have the math, science, and the social studies, at least one of those, and then the additional electives. Going into their senior year, we're looking for a minimum of 18 credits to be a senior. Most of our going into their senior year, we will have students that will have 24 credits, only needing 2 remaining high school credits, typically their English and civics and economics, in order to graduate. So that's why we do have a number of our students who opt to graduate early from high school. Some of them may be going on to starting college in the January semester, or starting a community college, or going into the military or workforce. But those are things that we are working with your students each year, and during registration when they're getting these materials, we're going over with them the number of credits that they have earned and what core classes are still remaining for the requirement. Each course that your students take are worth 1 credit. And in order to earn a credit, it's a grade of a 60 or higher. Since we are on a 10-point scale, the minimum passing grade is a 60. But again, this information can be found on our Student Services website, and it lists the promotion requirements for each grade level, as well as the full graduation list. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Green.
Okay, just another quick reminder, if you joined us late, we are recording this session and it'll be posted on our school's website. And if you have a question, feel free to put that in the chat. Let's go over real quickly some other opportunities kids have to go ahead and attain college credit while they are still in high school. The first one, of course, is AP courses, advanced placement courses. Students can take these classes and then they take an exam in May. And depending on their score on the exam, that can lead to college credit or a placement out of the class once they get to college. And a great thing here in North Carolina for the last several years is that AP exams are free. Before that, they used to cost around $95 per exam, but they have been free for several years now. So that's one way students can start their college credits earlier, is by taking AP classes. Another program that's been around for about 2 or 3 years now that's getting a lot of popularity is the Career and College Promise. We just call it CCP. This is handled by Wake Tech and other community colleges across the state. This allows students to take college transfer classes and what they consider career technical education courses at Wake Tech Community College. And the big plus is they are free. So students could take, the freshman English class that they might need to go to, a 4-year school they're applying to in North Carolina, and get that credit out of the way. Students, juniors and seniors the only big requirement they have is they have to have a 2.8 unweighted GPA, and that qualifies them to take a CCP course. We do have information about this on our website. I've posted a flyer for 2 or 3 months now for registration for the spring. I've had a lot of students sign up to take classes through CCP. Many of them, juniors and seniors, decide to take the CCP classes and maybe have a shorter day here at Leesville to go ahead and start their college transcript. These classes also do go on their high school transcript. They are transferable and will be put on their high school transcript too. But the main goal of this is really not them being on their high school transcript. It's about them starting a college transcript and saving you as parents money down the road by taking some classes for free through the CCP program that they wouldn't have to take at the 4-year college that they may go to right after high school, or even if they plan to start college through Wake Tech, it will put them ahead of the game. So if you have questions about that, please email me. Dual enrollment is sort of similar to CCP. The difference is this will be, for example, let's say you have a student who has maxed out of what we teach here in Spanish. For example, I just worked with a student this week who is in AP Spanish this year. So next year she wants to take more Spanish, but that's as high as we teach here at Leesville is AP. So she can take the next Spanish level course at NC State, for example, and take that and start her college transcript there. The difference with most of the dual enrollment, though, is those classes do not go on your high school transcript, and you do have to pay for them. So if you take a class at State or Meredith or UNC or somewhere are local, you are going to have to pay for it if it's outside of the CCP program, which I already talked about. So we don't have as many students doing the dual enrollment as before because the CCP is free and those classes do go on your high school transcript. So just a handful of students who maybe have maxed out of Spanish or they've maxed out of the maths we teach here. They might look at taking, a math beyond calculus at, NC State. So that's what dual enrollment means. But again, the classes don't go on your high school transcript. And the other thing is, if you have looked at our website in the last few weeks, there is a program across North Carolina called Credit by Demonstrated Mastery. This is where students can take an exam for different subjects and get credit for them and not have to take it to graduate. They don't get a grade for the class, they just get a P for pass, and it doesn't impact their GPA one way or the other, but it places them out of a class. The most popular one for Leesville students over the last, 10 years that they've had this program is we've had a lot of rising seniors want to take civics and economics so that they don't have to do that their senior year. I will say the success rate is about 50% on all the students that I've helped with that over the last 10 years because they do have to pretty much pass a final exam in the class and then have to present. Then they do a sort of a multiple choice thing, and then they have to do an essay part. So, and again, there are other classes that students can take through the CDM process. If you are currently on the website, it's under the announcement part. If you want to click on that, and there's a link on there to the Wake County CDM information, and that will explain the process to you in more detail. And also, please feel free to send me an email if you have questions about that. So we're coming toward the end here. I'm gonna turn it back over real quick to Ms. Oxendine, and she's gonna talk about one last slide, and then we'll be wrapping things up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Green. A lot of this we've already hit in some of my colleagues' presentations and the slides that they reviewed. The first 4 entries on this list are the tests, the pre-SAT, the pre-ACT, the ACT, and the SAT. I know Ms. Albanese went into a little more detail about when those are offered. Just a quick reminder, the pre-SAT is a test for which you must register. And I will tell you that that registration comes out of the gate pretty early when we return to school in the fall. It usually rolls out mid-ish September as we usually test around mid-October, but that is something that you have to sign up for, students do. And versus the pre-ACT, which is given to all sophomores, no one has to register for that or sign up. It's just done in mass, which leads into the ACT. That's done again in mass for the juniors during usually early March of the junior year. So that's paid for by the state of North Carolina. We register all the kids for that. Now, if a student chooses to take an additional ACT or wants to take the SAT, he or she will have to sign up on either of those companies' websites, select a Saturday, select a testing location, pay for the test, and they would do it that way. We did want to mention our CDC, that stands for Career Development Coordinator. That's Miss Canada. She handles a lot of the military recruiters, their visits, and the internship program, which is explained a lot when we get close to registration. She'll put out a lot of information if students want to spend some of their time here earning credit while also gaining some job experience. We mentioned the college visits that we run out of our office. That's a great opportunity to hear from reps. We have our own financial aid counselor. Her name is Miss Norwood. Her contact information is on our website. She's setting up Google Meets with students currently. That's a very niche area. So it's good to talk to someone who has a lot of experience with financial aid. Enrichment opportunities, we have those posted on our website. That's spending your time, for instance, in the summers doing things, projects or programs or camps, just to enrich and enhance and the things you're learning in the classroom. I did want to mention community service. I get this question all the time. There is no community service requirement for graduation here at Leesville Road High School. Now, there are plenty of students who engage in community service through the clubs that they're in. For example, Key Club. Our PTSA also runs or hosts the Presidential Service Volunteer Award, and that's all about accruing hours in approved volunteer arenas and getting recognized for that. But again, there is no community service required to graduate. We like to share with students because a lot of kids think that they need to be in, every club we have, and they stretch themselves really thin and really don't have a lot to say about their experiences. So we like to encourage depth, not breadth. Find a few things that you are interested in, continue your involvement over several years so that you really have some substantive information and experience to share, and perhaps you've grown into a leadership position in one of those organizations or the arts or the sports, athletics, whatever it is you're engaged in. And then this last one is really about when it comes time to thinking about your post-secondary options or plans, really do some research. There's a lot of information out there that can help guide you as to qualifications and criteria and requirements that are needed to go to certain institutions or programs, honors colleges, all those sorts of things. So that's just planning for the future. There's a lot, but we'll help them through. I think I have one more slide. And this is just really quickly because we do get this question a lot as well. And I think it's a good visual. People ask us, what are colleges looking for? And what you'll see right there, that very deep green, it says GPA. I actually would put /transcript because, as Ms. Saldana said, it's not necessarily just the GPA number, but it's that 3.5 year track record of a student's performance in high school, the classes they've taken, the grades they make. And then, yes, it does all get calculated into a GPA. But that, stands out as the predominant, most important thing that colleges are looking for. And then you can kind of see the pieces of the pie getting a little smaller. Standardized test, of course, all of that is, kind of been different now with COVID. It'll be interesting to see what direction we head in. And then extracurriculars, what students spend their time doing. So this is just, again, a good thing to kind of keep in mind as you're preparing and looking down the road. Thank you. Mr. Green?
Okay, thanks, Ms. Octanon. So we're at the end of the presentation, but I feel like this quote and a short video clip we're going to show you in just a second sort of sums up one of the themes we were emphasizing tonight. We all realize that the journey for kids and for their parents can sometimes be difficult, but the journey is often where we tend to learn most about ourselves and what shapes our future. We appreciate you taking your time tonight. After we show you this little clip, short video clip that sort of sums up again sort of the theme of the evening and sort of keeping everything in perspective, that will be the end of our presentation. But please watch the video. I think you'll enjoy it. And again, thank you for your time, and we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving.
Well, that was certainly worth the new blacktop in the teacher's parking lot, huh? All right, let's get this started, huh? What do you say? A to Z this year? Ah, let's do it. All right, Ben Adams, huh? Good job, Ben.
So Sue sat there with 2 shoes on the wrong feet, no chords, no legacy. I'd honestly never seen her this low. But then an amazing thing happened.
All right, there she is. John Andrews.
Sue couldn't believe it. Every page was filled.
You're always running down the hall so happy. I swear, I never once saw you in a bad mood.
It made me feel so much better when I didn't make show choir. and also when I didn't make drama club.
Sorry we didn't get to talk all that much, but your pep rally routine to fame was awesome. You guys rock.
I look up to you in so many ways. The way you tried everything, I wish I was that brave. I know you'll do amazing. No matter what, you were so positive. It made me realize I need to be that way too, because high school's over in a blink of an eye, and here we are graduating.
Nobody can tell you there's only one song worth singing. They may try and sell you, 'cause it hangs them up to see someone like you. But you gotta make your own kind of music.
Really, what is a legacy? It's not the speaking at graduation, or the awards, or the chords, or the plaques. It's the 1,000 moments every day where you touch people, even when you didn't know you were.
Sue Heck. This could take a minute.
I'll answer the rest of you later.